Time now, Ray, to journey inside the 49ers locker room. Inside the 49ers locker room brought to you by Harris Ranch Beef. Visit your local Rayleigh's, Bel Air, and Nob Hill markets for all your beef and tailgate needs. Bring in the beef now. The best tackle in the National Football League, the great Trent Williams. Trent, thank you so much for your time. How great is it for you physically to have a bye at this time of year, and how great was it for the team to be going into the bye with a win under your belts?
First off, thank you for having me as well. You know, it's always a pleasure. But yeah, honestly, man, when I think of just over my career, I think one of the first things we do when you get the schedule is to locate the bye week. Because, you know, it sucks to have the bye week within the first month and a half of the season. And then it also sucks to have it within the last month of the season. So when I seen it, I thought it was basically dead set in the middle. So I looked at that as a really good thing for us to take advantage of, because obviously when you get around week 9, week 10, you know, a lot of bumps and bruises, everybody's dealing with it. So for us to be able to have our bye week then and be able to get a little bit healthier, and then also to follow your question up to go into the bye week after a big win, you know, going down to Levi's South is what we call it, but to get a win versus arch nemesis, a division foe. You know, I think that was the icing on the cake.
If you had to pick one, though, would you rather have the bye near the end of the year or near the beginning of the year? If you couldn't have it where you want it, what's the less evil of the two other options? Oh,
definitely near the end. Definitely near the end. I mean, it sucks to have to go, you know, 12, 13 games straight. But, you know, like I said before, I think at the end of the year, towards the end is when you start to see that wear and tear, bumps and bruises, the guy's legs starting to get a little bogged down. So I would definitely rather have that 5-6 day window later in the year as opposed to earlier.
The great Trent Williams, our guest here on 95.7 The Game. And Trent, I wanted to ask you about blocking for Christian McCaffrey. Then I realized Christian McCaffrey could become here the first 49er back under Kyle Shanahan to rush for 1,000 yards. And I know he did, you know, a lot of that with Carolina. But, you know, he's going to rely on you guys here. What's the etiquette? I mean, if he rushes for 1,000 yards, doesn't he owe you and the boys at least, you know, some kind of nice gift for helping him get to that number? Right? I mean, come on.
You know, we'll leave that up to him and you know, where his heart sits and how we want to do good for people. But, you know, honestly, our compensation comes from the top. You know, Mr. York, every time we get our game day check, you know, if that's not compensation enough to open some holes up, then I think we're in the wrong business, you know?
Okay. All right. But what is it like blocking for him? Is it different as a tackle to block for different runners depending on their styles?
Honestly, no, sir. It isn't. You know, that's a tall order for, you know, within that 30 seconds we get to get back to the huddle, get a play call, get back up to the line, make your call, and play again. And we had to look in the backfield and see who was back there to see if, you know, we're going to change the blocking style up any. So, you know, naturally, you know, we don't really pay attention to who's back there. But, you know, just watching him always make the first guy miss, you know, watch how he hits the holes and, you know, watch just how dynamic he is and being able to see that first up close when he's not an opponent, you know, that's an amazing thing to have. But you know, most of all, it's just actually watching a guy like that who, you know, I've watched on ESPN highlights for the last few years, and he's always been regarded as one of the better backs in the NFL. But to actually have him and see him up close and personal, you kind of see why his reputation is what it is.
This is about the time of year. I mean, even though the trade deadline has expired, there's still a lot of talk about a free agent like Odell Beckham, you know, wanting to sort of test the market again. Do you ever pay any attention to that, just, you know, as a casual fan, or is that noise you don't need?
Yeah, I would be lying and say you know, you don't see storylines and read them, you know, as a casual fan. You know, of course, I do that. But, you know, at this time of the year, you're not really looking for any saviors to walk through the door. You know, you kind of are who you are at this point. Obviously, you can always pick up people who can come in and make an immediate impact. But you know, when it all boils down to it, once you get around this part of the year, it's all about, you know, your depth. How can you survive guys going down, next man up attitude, and like I said, trade deadline being gone is no blockbuster trade where you're going to get some type of you know, Christian McCaffrey help again walking in the door. You know, so for us, you know, of course, if we can add anybody to this roster that can help us win, we're all for it. But you know, at the end of the day, we're not expecting it.
Trent Williams with us here on 95.7 The Game. The offensive line, the pass blocking's been excellent. Trent, you've been on it. You've led and anchored a lot of offensive lines, a lot of good offensive lines. How much more cohesive is the line now than you guys were at the beginning of the year with some moving parts? And how important is it for an offensive line to play together to learn to be more effective running the ball and passing, pass blocking?
You know, honestly, yeah. Around this time of the year, I think you can see the cohesiveness starting to pay off. But you know, we knew that it would take a little time. We had 2-3 new starters on the inside. 3 great players, but obviously they were new. So you know, you got to get reps under your belt. But you know, for offensive line, honestly, there is no room to hang your hat and say, "Hey, we're coming along with where we want to be." I mean, you literally get judged on each game Sunday by Sunday. Is, you know, that depends on what they're saying during the week. And are you a contender? Or are you sliding up, going up the power rankings? Or are you down 4 spots from the week before? You know, this league is such a week by week basis. So, you know, for us, it isn't about, you know, just getting that cohesiveness down and playing better. For us, it's a collective body of work that we want to put together that ultimately continues to build momentum to, you know, till we get to where we want to be, and that's in the postseason.
In the last couple of weeks, and I suspect this might be a delicate question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. There have been a lot of rumors about athletes and movie stars being interested in buying into a piece of the Washington Commanders. Kevin Durant, Matthew McConaughey, now the owner of the Boston Red Sox. Did you spend even a minute envisioning what it would be like for you to get a piece of that?
I didn't think about it, but I'm glad you put it on my mind. You know, love to throw a couple quarters in, give me a little ownership of a team here and there. You know, that'd be a dream. But you know, obviously DC is a team with a huge market. I think that team would be a really attractive investment for a lot of people. But you know, if I was in on those conversations, I would definitely try to take advantage of it.
Trent Williams, our guest on 95.7 The Game. I know it's very important for athletes to look, you know, week to week and don't get ahead of yourselves. But that said, have you given much thought yet to the week following? I mean, going to Mexico City. Are you excited at all about the trip to Mexico City?
Yeah, I'm excited just to go and experience, you know, something new. Play on, never played in Mexico before, obviously. So, you know, to experience something new, the NFL continue to, you know, to travel and touch different people outside of this country. I think that's exciting. But, you know, honestly, I hadn't even thought much about it. This Chargers team is, you know, it's a headache to try to prepare for because, you know, they find ways to win, and you know they got the bend but don't break style of defense, where it's really hard to get in the end zone, and you know they get really stiff around the red zone. So you know, honestly, you know, I know that the Mexico trip is coming up, but you know we've been honing in on this on these Charger cats for you know the last couple of days since we've been back, so I hadn't even had time to think about it.
What's prep like on a Sunday when your team is playing at 5:20 rather than 1 o'clock, or you know when you're in the East Coast 10 o'clock? What do you do with the early part of the day? Do you watch any football, or do you just keep your mind clear because you got work to do?
Oh no, I'm all football. I'm watching football from the minute I wake up to the minute they cut the TVs off in the locker room. You know, especially we get an early game. You got people playing, you know, across the pond. You get to wake up and catch a 9:30 game and catch them at 10:30, then 1 o'clock. So for me, it's paradise, man. I love watching football. And that's what I like about being on the West Coast. You really get to watch the first slate of games before you even got to go line up. So every Sunday brings a different type of momentum, a different type of matchup, and to sit there and watch the league, and it kind of motivates you to want to go out and play better. You see a team that you think is really good, and they go out and lay an egg. It kind of wakes you up a little bit, like, hey, just because you got a better roster don't mean you're going to get the win at the end of the day. And you see those sleeper teams that sneak up on people. I get motivation from watching those early games. So as soon as I wake up, I'm glued to the TV.
Trent, speaking of watching football, what have you seen from Khalil Mack on film that you would be willing to share with us in terms of how difficult this matchup could be?
Yeah, I mean, he's Khalil Mack. He's the reason why. Same reason why he's a household name. He's a dominant force on the edge. Can get after the quarterback, can get after the running back. He's a special player, always has been. So, our work is definitely cut out for us. We know it won't be an easy outing. We know we got the world watching Sunday night. So, I'm looking forward to the matchup. It's always good to be able to go against a future Hall of Fame player. I think it brings out the best in everybody.
And there's a feeling among 49er fans now that it's all coming together. The Niners in great shape to make a second half run, hopefully a deep one. Similar to last year, it seems like, wow, everything's fallen into place here. Do the players share that view? Does it at least feel like, wow, we're finally getting healthy right now?
Honestly, no. Honestly, like I said, it's a week to week type of deal, and you go back and you go look at the headlines from 3 weeks ago, from after the Atlanta game or after the Kansas City game. I mean, we were we were an afterthought when it came to being a team that can contend, and then we have a good week in LA, and now everybody is saying that we can contend. We're now the odds are going up and stuff like that. So it's like, if you just break it down and look at it from outside looking in, it's like, why would you even, why wouldn't you take it 1 week at a time? Because that's the way we're judged as a team, as a unit. You always judge as a 1 week at a time type of deals. What have you done for me lately? So, honestly, it's all about getting this win. It's making it, stacking it and getting another win and just building momentum, as opposed to thinking that we have arrived. I think we'll know where we're at in those, those late December, January games. And, I think that's when you kind of really start to hone in on who you are, what chances you have, and, where the season could go.
Last one, Trent. Trent Williams, our guest here. Earlier this season, as you know, George Kittle told the media that the players were arguing about who might win if you had the Silverback, you, against the Grizzly Bear, Nick Bosa. I'm just wondering what you would be willing to share with us about that question that your teammate George Kittle posed earlier in the year. The Grizzly against the Silverback, how do you think that would turn out, Trent?
We're talking about pure animals. I'm a big National Geographic guy, so I know the tail of the tape when we talk about the size of a silverback and the size of a grizzly bear. So, just not even getting past those measurements, I don't think it'd be very close. When you take a grizzly bear, it could be 1,200 pounds versus a silverback who probably 400 or 500 pounds. So, honestly, as much as I would want to say silverback, we know that's my spirit animal. That's who I kind of resonate with. But I think, if I'm going to go with my better judgment, I'd say grizzly bear.
All right.
Thank
you very much. By the way, Trent Williams, our friends at Harris Ranch Beef, giving you a 10-pound package of prime porterhouse steaks. How about that, sir?
Oh, yeah, I love that. I appreciate it. Tell them I said keep it coming.
All right. Thank you very much, Trent, for your time. We appreciate it. Good luck this week.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The great Trent Williams on 95.7 The Game.